Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Fireside Camp Talk on this public live stream. How's everybody doing tonight? Make sure you can see and hear me. See what's going on. Looks like you guys jumped in the room pretty quick. All clear. Excellent. Okay, now I can read before I go on. Of us in the room, 10. All right, cool. I apologize. I had to last minute. I had to move the stream back from 7 to 7:30. So I got. I was out and about. I got my new printer today, or not. I'm sorry. I got stands for the printers today. So yesterday I got brand new printer. It's like a Xerox VersaLink C7000 model. Thing is a beast. It is pretty much what you have at like when you go to Office Depot, Office Max, whatever it's called these days. That it is literally that. The only thing it didn't have was the stand base with the bunch of drawers, to bring it up to a little bit higher of a level. So initially I just had it on the floor, and I was looking for a stand or a table or something, and we have a what they call a restore. It's like Habitat for Humanity, and it's called Restore, and they just sell stuff like stupid cheap. And I came across these two office type metal, it's like metal and wood kind of combo tables that were the perfect size, and they were $30 each. So I was like, throw those in the in the SUV. But we could only fit one at a time, so we had to load the one, drive home, unload, go back, pick up the other one. So I was spending a lot of time, and the day was just catching up with me, and I hadn't eaten any dinner, and I didn't want to be eating dinner at 10 o'clock or something whenever this stream is over. So I had to push it back 30 minutes. So I apologize, but I appreciate everybody's patience and hanging around and waiting. So we got Bent Reality Movies. He says, good evening. Sith's in the house. Welcome. There you go. In case we don't get a chance later. There you go. I like that little Jim Carrey Truman Show there. Sooner Jim, Jack Burton. Let's see here. We're either really early or right on time. There you go. It says 8:30 now, so we're early. Yep, you guys are early. I explained that. Let's see here. I'm going to say Jack is in Eastern. Yep. All right, I could skip through that a little bit because you guys are just talking about me not being on time. Bent, Jack, Sith. All right. What's going on with the Steelbook sale? I can talk animals, funny, magical friends. At least Tron isn't crazy expensive. I am surprised at how, especially I know they put a lot of work into the restoration for the first Tron. I'm surprised at the prices, quite honestly. I'm assuming that Disney is putting those out directly versus Sony. So maybe that's why they're a little bit cheaper than what we've been used to with coming from Disney/Sony release. So how about some likes? Yeah, let's start with the like button before we get all deep into the conversations and stuff. This is when you came on live. Thank you, Sith. Could you show us the could I show you that? Looks badass. Jealous of that. No, I'm not gonna show that right now. Perhaps later. Eric says, what's up, guys? Hope everyone is doing well. Likewise. So The other day, I went to Half Price Books. That's what we have up here in Wisconsin, near the Appleton area, and I picked up um, quite a bit of titles, and then there's some other titles that I got that I kind of wanted to show you guys and tell you like the great deals that I got on these. Um, so one thing I did talk about last week was I got Shane. Man, that looked really good. Really enjoyed it. I have not gotten a chance to watch Megan yet on 4K. So I'm hoping that transfers pretty good. I ended up, they were all in like, no surprise, they were all in Eco Blu-ray cases. So I swapped them out of those because I hate Eco cases, and I put them in my clear cases. But I wanted to show you some of the titles that I got, and I got Amityville Horror on Blu-ray, and I did none of these titles minus this next one I'm going to show you. All the others were like less than $6. So keep that in mind. You know, I know like I'm kind of I'm talking to my crews here, my folks, my peeps, but don't you don't have to pick up a 4K of everything. Especially if it's not something that you're going to watch regularly. Or it's not something you necessarily love, but you wouldn't mind seeing it every now and then. You wanted it part of your collection. So I got, like I said, I got Amityville Horror on Blu-ray. Then I got this was the most expensive one. I paid $12 for The Haunting on 4K. So I got that. And then I got The Mist. Now, I have not seen The Mist all the way through. I've only seen parts of it. Same thing for Amityville Horror. I've never seen the whole thing. I've only seen snippets of it. I saw this in the theater back in the day when it came out. It was okay. It was all right. Could have been better. Could have been a little more. I was hoping for a little bit more scary, but it was more of a more ghost story-ish, and then not so much horror for me. And then I got Cloverfield. And again, I've never seen this one, so I'm looking forward to that during spooky season. I picked up Jaws 2. I've seen all 4 Jaws films, but I really only love the first one. But the second one I remember, being pretty good. So I thought, for like $4, sure. This one I want to talk to you guys about because like I've never heard any movie tuber talking about this movie, and I gotta say, like, I never heard of it, but I really, really did enjoy it. And let me know if you guys have seen it. But it's Guillermo del Toro in his movie called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And it's got Katie Holmes and Guy Pearce in it. Has anyone seen this? I was stunned I had not seen this because I'm a big Guillermo del Toro fan. I like pretty much anything that he's put out that I'm aware of, that I've seen. Everything I've seen of his, I've really enjoyed. Wow, I was surprised how much I enjoyed that. What about you guys? Anybody seen that? I'll catch up on the chat really fast. The link for Tron is dead. Interesting. They're sold out. Wow. I wonder how many they printed. I wouldn't worry too much. It's like Tombstone King. Yeah, they'll bring it back, dude. If something sells out, they'll do another pressing. The problem is that they don't press enough to begin with because they're trying to be conservative, and then they sell out, and then they go way over conservative and press too many on the next wave, and then they get stuck with thousands of them. Brandon says, I finally watched the Tron movies this weekend, enjoyed them, but not enough to buy the 4K Steelbooks. Definitely more intrigued with the third one coming out soon. Well, Brandon, I can tell you right now, if you didn't like the first two, you're probably not going to like the third one. From what I understand, the third one is going to be kind of a hybrid of sequel slash standalone type film. I don't see how you're going to like the third one if the first two, especially if Tron Legacy didn't knock your socks off. I don't see you liking this one, but maybe, I don't know. Shane, spoiler for those who haven't seen it. Do you think he lives or dies at the end? You know, that's funny. My wife was asking that, and we had a difference of opinion on that. Because I don't recall. I don't want to say anything on that because if you haven't seen it, that being said, it's an old fucking movie, but it is a new 4K release, so it's kind of like, how many people have like really seen Shane prior to a 4K release? But I'll give it till the next stream. I personally think he's still alive. That's my personal thought on it. But my wife had differing opinion, and in particular, where the last shot of him, where you see him, like in the film, with the last shot of him when he's up on the hill and where he is. So I do recommend it though. Great film. It is it's a good movie, man. Shane is a good movie. I do recommend it. And the 4K looked great. I thought they did a great job on it. Dennis says, Mike disregard email earlier. Another boat. Yeah, I saw your email and I was like, yeah. So no worries. Everybody keep in mind that we're public. So, keep that in mind with some of your comments. Sako said, just got 3 from Scream. Had some points that were going to expire. Okay. Brandon says, I haven't seen The Haunting since high school. Yeah, I think that's that's where I was when it came out. Maybe, I don't know. What was the year on that? Where did I put that? I put that over there. Trying to see. I don't readily see the year on it. If it was after the year 2000, then I was out of high school. Let's see here. Go with black and white cut of The Mist. I don't know if that's a choice. Is that a choice on the Blu-ray? It was. I just got the 2-disc collector's edition. I don't know if I get a black and white version. I guess I'll find out when I put the disc in. Disc 1 and disc 2 are both Blu-rays, so maybe it is. I don't know. I'll let you know. Jack says, nice pickups. Excellent. Falcon says, thought it was early, but I'm late. Hope things are great. Things are going very well. Daniel says, The Haunting is Jay DeBont, which did Twister, Speed, all action movies. Okay. That would make sense why it wasn't more horror themed and more like quasi suspense, Let's see here. It's movie night, so I'll be multitasking. What movie are you watching tonight, Eric? Brent says, I haven't seen it, adding it to my list. Okay, all right. Daniel says, yes, late 2000s, good movie. Then I was like in college or something. Falcon says, no, I haven't seen it. I'm assuming you're the Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. When it comes to Tron, worst case, they'll re-release the first 2 with Ares. Oh, yeah, for sure. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. That was... I'm not going to stand here and tell you that, like, it's not gory. It's not gory. But it does, for a good bit of the film, have a lot of good suspenseful, you're on the edge of your seat type moments. And it's not jump scare crap. It's not that. I liked it. And obviously with Guillermo del Toro, he is big on dark fairy tale type stuff. So it's kind of got, they don't really embrace it too much, but you kind of get a little bit of um like where evilness of like the tooth fairy kind of thing. Like that's not giving anything away. So I'm not spoiling it for you guys. Yeah, but it's good. I enjoyed it. Basement Blues in the house. He says, hi, Mike, and everyone. 4K tent revival. He's talking to other people. Fine, talk to other people. Don't talk to me. The Honda came out in 1999. Oh, God damn it. What year was it? We got conflicting reports. Did you ever watch Pacific Rim from your last? I have not watched Pacific Rim only because it's spooky season and I have made it a priority. Minus Shane, because I hadn't seen that in so long and I've been waiting all year for that to come out. We've just been watching spooky movies so far. So I have not gotten a chance to watch Pacific Rim. If I have a day where we can do like a double feature, then I'll try to sneak it in there. But like I got a lot of film. I mean, you guys see all these that I got, and I need to watch them. So did I do an unboxing video of the printer? I thought about doing that, but honestly, like it came out of the box so easily that the video would have been like less than 5 minutes total. I was actually surprised at how easy it was to get it downstairs. It wasn't nearly as heavy as I thought it was going to be. Don't get me wrong, it is heavy. It is a two person job to lift that thing. But I think the weight that they were calculating was because it was on a pallet, and it wasn't some cheap pallet either. It was a really solid wood like pallet that was very heavy. Then you combine that with the printer in the box with all the foam and everything. It just I guess that all added up to over 100 pounds. But I think the unit itself is probably in the like 50-60 pound range. But like you can't pick it up yourself because this is so fucking big. It's like 25 inches wide and I think like 22 inches depth. Maybe it's more than that actually. I'm sorry. It's 22 this way deep. It's 22 deep, 27 wide, and 25 high. It's a big ass fucking printer. Absolutely love the print quality of it. Did I not? I guess I thought I had saved some stuff, but I guess I didn't. Nope. I must have tossed it somewhere. I was going to show you guys, but I don't know where it is, so and I'm not going to go hunt for it. That'll be for another. I'll do that for my special peeps. Falcon says, what are my thoughts on the Kino Lorber announcement on the Pink Panther 4K collection coming soon? I have not heard about this, so I don't really have any thoughts on it. I've never seen any of the Pink Panther, unless you're talking about the cartoon. That's the only Pink Panther I've ever seen with that. The problem with Kino Lorber is they're a mixed bag with they're putting a lot of stuff out, but they're not really doing any restorations that I'm aware of. They're pretty much just like scanning. They're either scanning it themselves and not doing much of a restoration, if at all, or they're just getting 4K scans from whatever studio they're licensing it from and then going to print with that. That's why, you're seeing like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and some of these others. No, it's not really knocking anybody's socks off because it doesn't look like that they did anything to it. It looks like it was a quasi cleaned up print and it was thrown in the scanner and then they pressed it to disc. So it's kind of a mixed bag when Kino Lorber puts something out of whether or not they, actually did a restoration with that. And then sometimes they have conflicting information. Like I can't remember which movie it was that Chase was talking about, but he on the one thing it said that it was scanned in 6K, but on the packaging it says it's a 4K scan, and there's nowhere to like figure out what it is that they're doing. I did want to let everybody know that for those of you, I know a couple weeks ago we talked about the Superman 4K reprints or repressings that came out. Both the Steelbook and the standard edition are going to have the fixed discs for 1, 2, and 4. But the Warner Brothers, somebody sent me a link and they were saying that Warner Brothers is doing a disc replacement, but you have to email them. So I would suggest like Googling, Warner Brothers disc replacement program, and then just you're gonna have to have like proof of purchase. So like for me, I did, I purchased through Amazon. So when you go to your orders on Amazon, you can just take a snapshot of your invoice of your order and just attach that with your email to them, stating that you want replacement discs. So I did that a couple days ago. As soon as I get something, I'll certainly let you guys know. But for those of you that are, had purchased the first wave with the fucked up discs, that you don't necessarily have to go rebuy. Eric, I don't know what you're talking about. You just said Child's Play, the original. I need some context, brother. Sith says rewatched Brendan Fraser's Mummy, paused during the riverboat shootout and caught the earplugs in the American's ears. Okay. Did they not have earplugs back then of some sort? Or did they all go deaf from gunfire? I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, if you're getting to the point where you're pausing the fucking movie, you're looking too hard. You're looking too hard. There's, and that's the thing. It's like, there's all kinds of mistakes in movies. Honestly, like, I'm surprised more mistakes don't show up in films. But I mean, we've seen like from old classics. Like here, I'm gonna ruin one for you. Here you go. If you don't want to hear this, like earmuffs, but if you watch The Princess Bride, when they're in the fire swamp and he is fighting the rodent of unusual size, when they roll over and it like burns it, there's a shot where they're showing the rat, and if you look to the like right of the screen behind the trees, there's a guy in jeans that like is clearly on the fire team, and he like started to come out and then he stopped and then like hid behind the tree again. So there you go. There's it's all kinds of movie mistakes, I've seen them all. They're all they're all there, and there's entire YouTube channels that go hunting for that shit. For me, I don't actively go looking for it because it's one of those things of like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you end up catching yourself looking for it. And that's not what I want to be doing especially for some of my favorite films. So yeah, I mean, there's just going to be all kinds of stuff. I would say at least that they were wearing ear protection so that they weren't getting jacked up, going deaf. Brandon says, I kind of want to watch The Hitcher tonight. The original, of course. Of course. I mean, what else would you watch? Let's see here. Base Blue says, hi, guys. Brandon says the remake was okay, but just love the original more. Nothing wrong with that. Grogs14 says, when does the reboot of Highlander come out? I'm not sure. I think they're still filming, or maybe they haven't even started filming. I know they finished the Voltron movie with Henry Cavill, so I think he's either shooting the Highlander movie now, or they're just gonna be doing it soon. I'm not really sure on the exact timetable of production for them. Caveman movies and more. You probably have seen Pink Panther. Is actually played by Steve Martin. Okay, I know of that film, but I haven't watched it. I was still waiting to hear back from Warner about the Superman disc. Yeah, me too. I don't see how they can put out a repressing and 3 out of the 5 discs are fucked up and not do a disc replacement. I mean, but you know who it is, so wouldn't put it past them. King Daddy Dong is asking me if I have ever seen the fan edit called Superman called The Final Cut. Yes, I have. I actually got really excited about that. However, having watched it, they kind of put in too many scenes that were deleted for good reason. I liked them touching some stuff up. It was a good experiment. I'm a like level 10 nerd when it comes to Superman, and maybe you guys have never noticed this, but it has been something that has like bugged the shit out of me since I was a kid and I first noticed it. But on Superman's first night that he saves Lois, helicopter sequence, then they cut to Air Force One, and Air Force One starts to go down, and Superman comes and grabs like where the engine nacelle was and starts to lift the plane back up. That cut or that shot, the negative is backwards. It's kind of like a Boba Fett thing from Return of the Jedi, or Darth Vader from A New Hope when he's about to fight Obi-Wan, or when he's fighting Obi-Wan. They like had the negative backwards, so it's flipped. So you can tell by the S on his shield, and also it creates because they fucked it up. It creates a small continuity error because you see him with one arm, which is actually supposed to be this arm. And then the very next shot, when they're looking out the window, that you see him, the shot is correctly, the negatives on the, correctly oriented. On that final cut, that was what I was actually, she actually, who I think it's a she, I think it was a chick that did that. She fixed that. And that was what I was most excited about when I was watching it. I was like, oh, thank God she fixed that shit. Which makes me think about like, why have they never gone back and fixed stuff like that? Like, especially with computers now, it's a simple like click and you flip the image and now it's correct. But like they've never touched it up in any of the Superman repressings. They've never touched the Star Wars ones. I can't believe like George Lucas wasn't aware that those shots were fucked up, like, and all the special edition stuff that he's done. I've often wondered when stuff like that has happened, and it doesn't really happen anymore with digital cameras, because there's nothing that you're putting on the reel and stuff like that, because it's all digital file. But back on the days of shooting on film, that was an issue. But I have seen that. I liked it, but that's not a version that I even bothered to like download and keep or watch again, just because of all of the added deleted scenes that she put in there. Just they were deleted for good reason. Sis says, I had just paused to get a beverage and just thought it was funny. Oh, okay, that's fine. It's fine. 4K Timber says, had an issue with my 7 4K disc. Warner shipped me out a replacement set about 5 weeks later. I assumed that wouldn't do anything about it at all. You assume they wouldn't do anything about it at all. Okay, well, that reminds me, I have not watched my 7 4K, so I guess I'm shit out of luck if that's the mix-ups in films are great to chuckle at and make the film even better. I love the disappearing cigar burn of Arnie in T2. My favorite is with T2. And this was, I'm very selective on directors going back and changing things. But this one in particular, I was like, thank you, James Cameron. Thank you for fucking fixing that. And it's in Terminator 2, when they're in the steel mill, Arnie, Arnold and the T-1000 are fighting, and Arnold gets his arm mechanical arm stuck in the gears. Okay. When they cut back to him where he grabs the thing and he's going to like cut his arm off, you can see his real arm like right there in a just wrapped in a black sock, just fucking hanging there for you to see. Um and then so for the 4K he went back and digitally removed that, and I'm like, thank you. I mean, the 4K scan sucks balls, but I like that he fixed that, and then he also fixed the continuity error with the truck in the truck motorcycle chase sequence earlier in the film, where the truck comes off the bridge, and when it hits you in the original version, you see the front windows pop out, and then the next scene the windows are back in. That was another change that he made, that he digitally like kept the windows in. I was like, thanks, I like that. It didn't add any effect or anything. It just cleaned up. And then the last one, when they digitally face swapped and put Arnold's face on the stunt double, who was clearly a stunt double in that same sequence. Those kinds of changes I can get behind. When you start adding digital creatures and speeders and shit like that, like that's where I have a problem. But if you're just cleaning up like blatant errors, I'm okay with that. Eric says, I was typing fast. I'm watching Child's Play tonight. Okay, all right, yeah, all right. I got you. We're on the same page now. Thank you. Jack says, thanks, Sith. You ruined the mummy for me. Jerk. Look what you did, you little jerk. Let's see here. Mike, which 4K version of the Reeve Supermans do you think is the best version to keep? The original 2018 single one or the new 2025 bundle version? I heard the 2018 had stuff the new one does. The only thing the 2018, I have both. The only thing that the 2018 had over the first pressing of the Superman 4Ks was on Superman 1, you had the 6-track, the original 6-track audio. They, for some reason, dropped that audio track on the first release. I believe, don't quote me on this, you can look it up, but I believe on this new pressing that they have put that track back on. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's one of the things that they went back and fixed. Here's the thing, for me personally, I have Superman on the Superman 4 film collection. I have that on Blu-ray. I have the 2018 one, and then I have the first pressing standard edition of the 4Ks. And I personally like watching the special edition, which is kind of like AKA the director's cut of Superman 1, but that's stuck on Blu-ray. Now when I was a kid, I actually grew up on the TV version. It was shown on like ABC over a 2-night event, and my mom had actually recorded it on Betamax. So that's like a 3-hour something version. The Salkins put everything back in there because the deal with ABC was they got paid for however many minutes long it was. So that wasn't an approved cut from Donner, that the Salkins did that themselves to make more money. But when I got older and I got it on VHS, then I was like, where the hell are all these deleted scenes? And then that's when my education really began of the different cuts. And so the special edition put back some of those scenes that I had seen on the TV version. The only thing I wish, and I don't know why Donner cut this, but when the crystal calls him in the morning and he goes into the barn, in the TV version, which is you can pick up, that's like on the latest greatest Blu-ray. It's like a two disc thing. It's like the special edition, and then the other disc is the TV version. when the crystal calls him and he goes to the barn, um, he doesn't know the ship is there. He like starts like searching around, and he like starts pushing some of the hay off the floor aside. He sees the latch, and then he pulls the door up. Then he sees it that the ship is down there, and then he gets in. On the theatrical and special edition version, he goes into the barn, and then he just gets in the pit. And I'm like, why the fuck did you cut that? Like, makes no sense to me that he just walked in there and it was just there like that. Like, what the fuck? That's the only thing I wish that they would put back in with that. But as far as like your direct question, I think the new press, the second pressing, if they've put that audio track back on, then I would go with that one. With that. Sis says Highlander reboot, interesting cast, Cavill, Crow, Batista, Karen, Jillian. It's gonna be hard pressed, man, to beat the original and that Queen soundtrack. I don't know, man. The only thing I love the 4K of Highlander. The only thing I wish they had done is painted out the fucking wires at the end when he like finally kills the Kurgan, and he's like absorbing all the power, and he's like, I know everything. Like, you see the fucking wires that he's dangling on. I'm like, really? You guys couldn't just go paint that out? I mean, they painted the wires out for Superman back in 78. Like, you couldn't you couldn't do that in 1980 something or another. Frustrating. I've been wanting to watch Superman 2 the Donner cut, but I don't know. Steve, I can tell you right now, I prefer the Donner cut. It's not perfect. That's the problem, though. That's what everybody, when you watch any of these comparison videos and what people think, the theatrical version is a completed film, even though they used a lot of Donner's footage. And there was a lot of stuff that they just went back and reshot just so Richard Lester could get director credit, because Donner said no, he did. If Donner back then, when after he got fired and they were gonna try to do a like co-director credit, Donner's like, fuck you, I don't want my name on it. It's not, if I didn't finish it, I don't want any part of it. So even though he had shot like 70 to 75% of Superman 2, because they were shooting Superman 1 and 2 together at the same time. So even though like 70 to 75% of the film was in the can, there were some things they had to go back and reshoot just so Richard Lester could get the credit for directing it. And then there was other issues where Marlon Brando, his contract was written so poorly. He had shot all his scenes for 1 and 2, like in a like 2 or 3 week period, and he got paid like $1 million or some ridiculous amount. But he also got a percentage of like box office profits. And I guess the contract wasn't written too clearly. So when Superman 2 was rolling around, he wanted more money, and they were like, fuck you, you're not getting that. And I guess they were dragging it out. And so what they decided to do is just cut all of the Marlon Brando scenes out and reshoot with I believe it's Suzanne York, who played his mother. And she basically like almost word for word uses a lot of his dialogue. There's just a couple things that are different. But that's one of the things that you'll notice is when they were shooting Superman 1 and 2, they shot all the Fortress Solitude scenes. Donner shot them all. Okay. So when they had to go back and reshoot stuff, they had to go rebuild the Fortress Solitude set. But the Salkins were cheap as fuck, and they didn't want to pay for the whole thing to be reconstructed. So it's actually different. The fortress is different in the Richard Lester scenes versus the Richard Donner scenes, and they have a mix of them in that film. So it's kind of, you can kind of pick out, it's kind of like you can always tell a Richard Lester scene by Superman Spit Curl is different. It's much tighter and smaller. And Margot Kidder's hair, she has like these hard bangs that are different from all of the Donner scenes. The Donner cut, I prefer. The pacing's better. He obviously put all of his stuff that he had in there. The problem is that there's 2 problems with the film, with his version of the film. First one is he got rid of the pink bear scene where he trips over the bear and falls in the fire, hand falls in the fire shit. He used several different shots of which were screen tests of how she figures out that he's Superman. It's a great scene, but it's like it was the screen test, so that it's kind of jarring. It takes you out of the film a little bit. And then the other problem with the Donner cut is they didn't. They should have just used the Richard Lester memory wiping kiss ending. It's the better ending. It's more patriotic, you know. But Richard Donner fucking hated the Salkinds and Richard Lester so much, he refused to use that, and so they just tacked on what was originally the ending of Superman 2, because originally Superman 1 was supposed to be a cliffhanger. He takes the rocket, he throws it into space, it explodes, releases the villains, and then it says like to be continued. That was supposed to be the original ending, but they were running out of money, and they had already shot that visual effect of him turning the earth back, and that was actually the most expensive effect in the film. So they said fucking use that, and then if the film's successful and we can finish the second one, we'll come up with a different ending. So the memory wiping kiss is what they ended up coming up with, but Donner didn't want that. So that's the two problems with the film is you have that one scene that's taken from screen tests, and then you don't have a proper ending to the film. Aside from that, I fucking way prefer the Donner cut over the Lester cut. So much better. So much better. Chase is in the house. He says, "What's up? What's up, brother?" Warner Bros. In fact, issuing corrected Superman disc. Excellent. I have the 5 steelbook set, and the new disc will be here Friday. I had to use a specific email, provided the UPC and proof of purchase. Well, there you go. Excellent. That's good to hear. So, Mike Webb's in this. He says, "What's up, Mike?" 4K10 says, "I wish somebody at Lionsgate would fix the horrendous CGI flies in Hereditary for the next release." I didn't realize they were that bad. I hadn't seen it. Let's see here. Mark Combs says, "Hey everybody, what new movie is everybody excited to see in theaters? Mine's one battle after another." I haven't even heard of that one. I want to go see the new Conjuring. I haven't. I forgot yesterday was Tuesday, which is like cheap movie ticket night. So I'll have to wait another week. I am looking forward to Tron Ares. I was looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2, but that shit got pushed to fucking May. So that took one off the board. But I think the most exciting one that I'm looking forward to is the new Tron movie. I hope it's good. I'm just a little nervous with Jared Leto, man. I don't understand how that guy keeps getting work. Fuck says, "Yeah, I have the Reeves Superman DVD box set." The problem, so if you're talking about that metal tin one, I loved that metal tin one. I just hated the transfers on it. They did not do a good job. There were a lot of problems with the transfers on those, including them like not adding all of the optical and composited effects together. So there were a lot of scenes that you were different, or you could see the wires where you couldn't before, and you can't now after the Blu-ray and 4Ks. Because they had like either forgotten to add that layer of that optical effect, or they decided to take it out. I'm not really sure, but you can clearly tell that nobody sat down and actually watched the fucking print before they mass printed them, which doesn't surprise me with it being Warner Brothers with that. But the set itself was great. I had it for many, many years before I sold it. Superman 1 4K and 4K flawed box set, trying to figure out which final version to keep. I have them all. The only thing I ever got rid of was the DVD because the transfers were fucked up. So I just kept them. But that's like everybody's got that one title that they like have to collect every version of it. It's not that I collect every version, it's just I just don't throw away or trade away So I just have multiple copies of it. Chase says, I just got the new 5 Steelbook reissue of Superman movies. Yeah, I noticed that they got rid of that empty Steelbook. So instead of it being a 5 Steelbook set, it's a 4 Steelbook set. I'm kind of pissed that they didn't keep the 5 Steelbook set and split the theatrical version of 2 and give it its own Steelbook and then give the Donner cut its own Steelbook, because they have those mashed together and it's that was a turn off for me. Yeah, I didn't have any of them on 4K, so I was happy to do the reissue. There you go. Cool. Chase, a thought about buying that set, but isn't it different than the original? Yep, that's exactly what I just told you is what makes it different. Markham says, I'm late and catching up. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's pretty good. Yeah, I was very surprised how good that was. Because it was a blind buy. Never seen it, never heard of it, never heard anybody on any of the movie tubers talking about it. It's Guillermo del Toro. How bad could it be? So I was very pleased with it. I highly recommend it for during the spooky season. I would love to see it on 4K. I think that would be a great, because I will say that transfer, I did notice the black levels aren't fantastic, which is typical of Blu-rays with dark moments. However, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad transfer, but you could definitely like see how great it could be if it was given a proper 4K. Sith says, if nothing else sounds good, it's a good time of year to start Supernatural rewatch. There you go. My mom loves that show. Conjuring Last Rites was pretty good. Oh, that's good to hear. I was a little bit concerned. The third one was okay. It wasn't great. Daniel says, I don't mind Jared Leto when he has a great script. I like Jared Leto when he has very little screen time and talking. I enjoyed Superman Returns with Ralph, and then when he put the suit on again for the Arrowverse Crisis, I saw that. I liked it. All right, so this is a hot take. Nobody's maybe you're not gonna like this, but I don't think Brendan Routh is a good actor. I think he is very average actor. For many years I was in denial of him being that average because he was not handed a good script for Superman Returns. It was not a good script. It was not a good movie. And I don't blame him for it. But when he got to do it again for the Arrowverse, it was the same, just bad delivery, very wooden. I don't know. It was nice to see him return, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, he was never going to be that great. So maybe in the hands of a really good director with a good solid script, he could have like gotten more of a better performance out of him. But everything that I've ever seen him in, honestly, the best performance is him in the Arrowverse is the other character that he plays. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but that was actually the best performing. And that was just, I think, because he was just trying to be himself. He really wasn't. It didn't seem like he was really trying to put on a persona. And that's what I felt like he was doing every time he played Superman. I always felt like he was like, oh, I've got to be heroic now. I hope you're not smoking. You're like, that's the way he came off to me. And it just didn't land with me. Not that I'm a huge fan of Cavill's version of it with being dark and broody, but at least, I mean, that's not his fault because that's what Zack Snyder wanted. So, teach his own. Yeah, supposedly they fixed all the issues with the reissue. I guess we'll see with that. The problem is that what pisses me off, especially for Superman 1, is most of those issues were on like the first like 2018 release that had that problem. So the fact that they like didn't even fucking fix that when they went to do the initial 2024 release, or whatever it was. Oh, nice. You're still around. Good to know. Okay. I'm only a Snyder Superman fan. I completely understand if everyone is subscribed immediately. A Brit playing Superman didn't sit well, but I think he did great. I think he did the best that he could with what he had to work with, which wasn't much. My issues with the Snyderverse interpretation of Superman is they just slapped. He's Batman. He's the same fucking character as Batman. Dark, broody, miserable fuck. I'm like, why would I want to be around somebody like that? Why would I want to watch you? Like, eh. It wasn't inspiring. It wasn't fun. And dear God, there were some serious plot holes in that movie. I love the one. My favorite plot hole in that is in Man of Steel. Is he's the world building engine things going off, and so he just over because he was like, I'm just gonna will it to be so, even though his powers don't work in there, overcomes it. You know, I equate that as that's as dumb as in Superman Returns when he lands on the island that Lex makes with kryptonite, he loses power, gets the shit beat out of him, kicked off the edge, and then like less than 2 minutes later, he's lifting the whole thing up into space. It's just dumb. I recognize that there are a lot of fans of the Snyderverse interpretation, and that's okay. We can have differences of opinion. So I'm actually not a fan of the new one that came out. I thought that was a very quasi below average film story wise, and a lot of just rehashed James Gunn crap that we have seen from James Gunn in all of his other films. So it's not like he brought something new. The only thing that he changed that I think what drew a lot of people to this is that it was the exact opposite of the Snyderverse. It was not the dark, brooding, miserable fuck. It was super bright, super friendly, more optimistic, naive viewpoint of the character. But the story itself is dumb. The fact that like Lex is playing bingo and Superman is faster than a speeding bullet. So how the fuck is Lex? I'm gonna ruin this for you guys. How is Lex watching this in real time of a dude that's faster than a speeding bullet and able to call out a number to somebody that then pushes buttons that then sends a signal to the dumb Ultraman, and they don't explain his level of intelligence or how he's receiving those signals because I didn't see no fucking technological, Borg shit going on there. So how is he getting that? And he knows what B2 is or 12 or whatever, and then acts on that as Superman's that shit. Just that was stupid to me. That was so stupid to me. That took me out of the film every time that they fucking did that. I'm sorry if someone likes that film. Like if I'm like offending you, you can like it all you want. I personally did not. You mean Brandon is not a real boy? People are still complaining about the corrected 4K 4 Steelbook set. Oh God, what are they complaining about now? That Superman dog being in the new one kept me from I'm being very nice and generous with my hatred or dislike. I shouldn't say hatred. It's not hatred. It's dislike of the new film. Crypto was way in it way too much. And I thought that I did not like how they are making Supergirl out to be just a dumb, drunk slush chick. Wasn't really a fan of that. And then if she gets drunk on other planets, how is she getting there? And once she came back, wouldn't she not be drunk or hungover? I don't know. I'm not getting the new Superman. I'm not either. Don't like having the bigger. I don't like them having the bigger special features be on digital only. I agree. I don't like that either. I did see kind of random stray thought squirrel. I think Microsoft, did I hear this correctly? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw Microsoft is shutting down their streaming platform portion of it. I'd have to go look exactly what the headline was, but I swear I saw something where Microsoft is basically like cutting their digital movie platform. Reason 5007 to not fucking have your entire collection digital or do that. That being said, I wanted to make a video about this, but I was like, I'll just rant about it on my live stream. Is it John Campia? Campanetti? I don't remember his fucking name. He's where he has the glasses and it's this little talk show. You guys know what I'm talking about? I want to be nice, but I'm going to go off the rails a little bit. So on the off chance that my little piss ass channel makes it to his eyes somehow, just know that this is just my difference of opinion. And it's going to be a little bit of raw opinion on this. I recently saw one of his videos where they were talking about somebody asked him streaming or physical, and he has made it very clear that he is a streaming guy. He is like, I've walked away from physical media and I only do streaming. And I was watching it with my wife, and I was literally, when he said, I was like, what? And what he said was, all of the benefits to physical media are theoretical. I was like, exactly, what the fuck does that mean? He's basically saying like, yeah, it's great. You get to have the disc and the fact that like, you get better video and better audio. And he's like, but you know, a lot of people can't tell the difference. I'm like, try watching the battle in Game of Thrones where they're at night on streaming. I specifically recall everybody like throwing a fit because they couldn't make out what the fuck was happening, but you could clearly see what was going on the 4K disc. And then so he's like, it's nice if you're home and you have it and you can put it in your player. He's like, but you know, you can't have it on your phone. You can't, like, if you're not there. And most people, I was like, okay, hear me out on this. When you buy a 4K, it comes with a Blu-ray, 4K, a Blu-ray, and a fucking digital code. So, you know what you don't get when you buy straight digital? The physical copy. The other thing is like this stuff, like Microsoft pulling their shit off the digital store. It's gone. Whatever you had, it's fucking gone. You know what? They can't fucking make my disc disappear. I'm so tired of retards defending streaming that's the way to go and that we should all walk away from physical media. It's like the dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard. Yeah, can't be yeah. I'm sorry. That guy's a tool and he's 100% wrong when it comes to this. And I can't stand when he starts talking about physical media stuff when he clearly hasn't educated himself lately. Like when he's not lying. When he said I went to streaming, like he stopped like learning about what's going on with physical media. So whatever it is that the random people that write him notes, that's what he's talking about out of his ass. That's what it is. Like it's so frustrating to watch that. No one that collects physical media is advocating that streaming should go away completely. I'm not even one of those. Streaming has its place. To me, I treat streaming the way I treated like regular television. Okay, whatever's on, you know, if I'm flipping through the channels, that's what's on, right? That's the way I look at streaming. It's there, it's great to have. Maybe you end up catching something that you're able to watch on a blind buy instead of having to rent it. That was another thing that he brought up was he's like, the other guy that's on the show with him that is a physical media collector, I could see his eyes. That dude was boiling and he's trying to keep his shit together. But he he had mentioned like he's the other guy. He's like, yeah, but like there's a lot of things. He's like he just bought something from like Germany or something. He had it imported. He's like these great amazing films. He's like you can't stream these. So physical is the only way that you can watch this stuff. And that can't be, he's like, yeah, but that's only like, 10-15% of the time. I'm like, okay, like then you have to admit defeat on that. I can't tell you every time that I've wanted to watch something, uh, this try to see if it's on stream. First, I have to fucking Google to see if what platform that shit's on. And then it'll say, tell you like, oh, it's streaming on blah, blah, blah. But if you go there, then you have to buy it or the link is wrong. And they like, I'll use Amazon, for example. A lot of times I've Googled stuff and it's like, yeah, it's streaming on Amazon Prime. You go to Amazon Prime, it's like, nope, Amazon Prime, it's not available right now. So like you can go to the listing, but you can't rent it, you can't stream it, you can't do anything. So you're like, okay, well, that's fucking worthless. And there are so many things that are going to be lost, like film and TV wise, if physical media goes away, because it just gets lost in the abyss. It either doesn't get put on the streaming service. Here's the thing, like licensing rights change hands all the time, but you know what doesn't change hands? Your fucking physical media library. It doesn't leave your library unless you fucking send it out the door. So like, I don't care who has the rights to whatever film. I fucking got it. So I can watch it whenever I want. That's the problem with streaming, or one of the many problems with streaming. And for those that advocate that you should like walk away from physical media, is this shit changes hands. These companies change direction on what they want to do and what their priorities are on streaming. I am very much against anybody that's going to stand up and try to convince somebody else to like abandon physical media. I can't do it. What do you guys think? Did you guys see that video? uh 4K10 Rose says the big studios want streaming to work so bad. There's so much propaganda out there. It's insane. It's so much cheaper to get the content on a streaming service. They can't help themselves. Here's the problem. Streaming could be great, but the issues with streaming as like a business, like forget the whole like they censor shit and stuff like that. Just like if they really wanted streaming to work, there's a couple things they need to do. The first thing is they have got to somebody's got to come up with the master like bundle, or like cross, cross console compatibility kind of thing, because people cannot afford, and they keep raising prices. Oh man, don't get me started on that. Like they're just we're going to raise prices 20% overnight and it's after we announced it, after we already charged your credit card the new rate. I love that. I think Apple did that just recently. There are too many issues with streaming as far as like it's all fragmented. Okay, so that's why you have churn, because people cannot afford the prices that they're trying to charge for each of these individual streaming services. Okay, mark my words, yearly contracts are coming. I'm calling it right now. Contracts are coming. They are gonna lock your ass in like cable. They are pulling every cable trick that out of the woodwork now to try to make this fucking work, to cut down on churn. Some of them are doing some bundles. And then when that shit doesn't work as well as they need and they have to raise prices again, I guarantee you fucking year or 2-year contracts where you are locked in and you are fucked if you try to leave. They're turning it right back into cable. That's what it is. Mark my words, and I'm going to tell you, all that's going to do is drive piracy through the roof. But the main issue is that they are all of them are spending way too fucking much money on production, on new production, because they want And that's because they all wanted to do their own streaming service. The smartest one out of the bunch is fucking Sony. Sony's like, we're not getting into this. We'll just license our shit out. Have fun, kids. Like, Sony's the smart one out of this. Everybody else, they all think that they got this great, magnificent library, and everybody's just going to flock to their shit. A lot of them don't. They don't have much. So that's why I'll use Netflix. Netflix just spends like an ungodly amount of money on new production stuff. And those production costs are far exceeding not just Netflix, but like all of them across the board are far exceeding what they take in from streaming. That's their biggest problem. That's why they keep having to raise prices. That's why they brought ads back, commercials. Google's just getting as bad with ads on like YouTube. I had to go to the premium version because the ads were like, and this was like 2 years ago, because the ads were just so bad. Now my number one thing that pisses me off when I watch a YouTube video is you're watching the video and then they're like, and this is brought to you by the sponsor, blah blah, and it's a fucking commercial. So thankfully, like right now you can just like jump ahead. But how long before you can't do that, or before it doesn't, automatically do that for you when you press the button once? They're just trying to fit that square peg into a round hole so fucking hard, and it's just not going to work. It's not going to work the way they're doing it. And they make so much more money. Think about it for us when we're buying movies. With a streaming service, they get my $10, $20 once. They put out these studios put out like multiple movies. They get like 30, 40, 50, sometimes $60 from me on multiple titles. It makes zero sense to me why they are abandoning physical media with that kind of revenue just fucking sitting there. Nobody's picking it up. They trip. I've constantly said these corporations, they all fucking do it. It's not just in the entertainment industry. Mega corporations, they all fucking trip over bricks of gold to pick up quarters. It drives the rest of us nuts because we can see it. We can see the forest through the trees, and they're just like heads down looking for quarters. It blows my mind. Falcon says, not to mention streaming edits or censor films, which is starting to happen in physical, but not like Star Wars, perfect example of that, so this is what happens when you wall yourself in an echo chamber. It's completely trust your government. Exactly. I guess my thing is like, at what point does people like that Campia, how many times does he have to be fucked or over through a streaming, like dropping stuff off, moving it to another one, before he like finally comes to recognize that he's fighting for the wrong team? Wasn't the argument for physical media versus cable broadcast, if it isn't on a channel stream you use, then you can pop in the disc? Exactly. I'll take physical media over streaming for sure. I only use streaming to curb blind buys. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I treat streaming the way I treated television. Okay. When I wanted to watch the movie, I always went to my library for the discs, or I went and bought the fucking movie. Right. There's nothing. I don't go to streaming anymore. Like, my wife watches some stuff, and every now and then she'll be like, oh, hey, this is pretty good. But let me tell you how few and far between that is. And it's really, really affecting thousands of people in the entertainment industry, because so many of these jobs are disappearing because of streaming, because now you're getting like whatever their algorithm puts out of, like, if an algorithm puts out that like people are watching, I don't know, I'm just gonna make shit up, like vampire movies, then vampire documentaries or something like that, then like they just look at that fucking chart, they look and they're like, hey, people are watching this, make more of that, right? And it seems great in the beginning, but then you get burned out of it because you're like, I want variety. Variety is the spice of life. All of us watch different shit besides one particular thing. And too much, even if it's a good thing, too much of a good thing is still, it's bad. We need variety. And that's one of the many threats that streaming phasing out physical media is going to bring about is we are going to lose variety, and it's partially brought about by their own algorithms feeding you what well, you liked this, so you'll probably like that. Maybe I fucking don't. Maybe I want to watch something else. Maybe I want to watch a rom-com or something. I don't know. That's the thing with streaming. If you live in the streaming bubble, then or on the streaming only, then you live in a bubble, and it's the bubble of your algorithm. And so you will never see anything outside that bubble that you may actually fucking love. Maybe like the greatest thing you've ever would have ever seen, but you didn't, because you went streaming hardcore. You didn't fucking expand your horizons, and you lived in that algorithm bubble. Streaming would be great if it worked like Spotify. That's the thing, is the music industry, they figured this shit out right quick and in a hurry. You can go get anybody's music on any fucking platform. You can't do that with movies and TV shows now. It's too fragmented. Everybody saw the money that Netflix was making, and they wanted a piece of that pie, instead of being happy with what the billions that they were raking in with it. Being with Apple TV, I will say they sent out a price increase email saying when it will go up before it goes up. Still going up a lot. Daniel says, I just pay for Apple One and the benefits outweigh the costs. For now. Pick one of your favorite directors. Boom, all of his movies right there that are on that platform. Let's keep that in mind. So Jack says streaming is glorified cable. It is. It's worse than cable. If you, depending on how many streaming services you have, you're paying way, way more than what you would have been paying with cable. Here's the thing. People cut the cord, and this is what studios don't get. People cut the cord, aka left cable, because streaming was way fucking cheaper and had a lot of the stuff that they watched anyway. People were predominantly just watching like Friends, Parks Rec, The Office, shit like that, right? That's not, I don't know. That's not the case anymore. When you start fragmenting out, it doesn't work. Sony bought Alamo Drafthouse. Isn't that a theater? Digital is fine for all the middle stuff. Don't rely on it for stuff you really care about. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not advocating that you buy every fucking thing out there, but I definitely say buy what you love, buy what you love and what you really like. Jack says, all I pay for is Prime. I also use Samsung TV and Tubi, but they are free. Yep. And that's the thing, is like people cut the cord because it was way fucking cheaper. And at the time, shit was centralized. Don't think it's beyond people to finally reach a boiling point where they're like, fuck it, I'm just going to go buy the DVD at Walmart. And let me tell you, like, building your own Plex server service, it's not expensive. It's not. Plex is free, and except if you want like the lifetime pass that has all the features and stuff. And I've said it many times, you can go, all you need, you don't even need like the latest greatest computer. You can take your ass to like a fucking pawn shop and get like a beat up old fucking like laptop. Okay. It doesn't even need to be a desktop. And just plug in an external hard drive. Rip your discs. That's what I did. I digitized my entire physical media library 1-to-1. Now you don't have to do that, especially if like you're only going to be streaming like on your phone or like on other smaller TVs. Like you don't need you don't need it in 4K, right? So you can buy like a 18 terabyte external hard drive for like $200-300. Dude, especially if you're not doing 1-to-1 conversion, rips, that'll take you fucking years to fill up. Like thousands of Blu-rays, right? And guess what? That shit never goes away. you know, you like for me, like I can stream anything from my physical library anywhere in the house, anywhere on the road, any phone, any laptop, which is another thing that John KP was like trying to say that like physical media like isn't able to do. I'm like, fuck it did. Like, if anything, like what's great is I don't do this. I give away my digital codes. But if you buy the 4K or Blu-ray and you rip it to like your Plex server, you don't need your digital code anymore. So you can turn around if you want and you can sell your digital codes, which offset the cost of the disc. You can't fucking do that with just buying the digital version of that shit. They're like, so again, you know, Crocodile Dundee, censorship. Riddick, censorship. Exactly. Guess what isn't censored? My Blu-rays of those. Heard Home Alone 2 will not be released in 4K because of the Trump segment, and they are not allowed to censor it. So no upgrade, I hear. The Blu-ray's fine. The Blu-ray's fine. And if that's the case, that's dumb. Here's my thing. This is not a political channel. This is not a political statement. I'm not going political with this. What I'm going to say is that, and this applies not to just like people like, you know, in this case, you know, for if that's true, the Trump being in Home Alone 2, but there are actors who have either been like not only accused but have also been convicted of doing illegal things. We'll just leave it at that, right? And then there's also those that have been accused and then were acquitted, but they still have the stain on them from it. These films get whether it's an actor or the director, because this is both. There are thousands of people that worked on that film that are getting screwed because of one person's actions that happen to be in that movie. I don't think that takes anything like, you know, I don't think that takes anything away from that movie. I don't stop watching these movies because that actor did something fucked up, right? Sorry, like I maybe I'm maybe I'm in the minority with that, but I compartmentalize that. This is a movie. He or she or they did a great job in that movie. I love that movie, you know, but yeah, they're unfortunately those films are not getting 4Ks or not being released in any way, shape, or form because of that one person that was in the production that like did a bad thing outside of work. I just don't like that everybody else in that production is getting screwed over from residuals or something because of that. I think it's stupid. Noah says Campy is entertaining, but he's clueless. On top of that, he's another guy that injects politics at every show once in a while. Nobody wants to hear fucking rants about those. Exactly. I am not a political channel, and I am not talking politics on this channel. We talk movies. We talk physical media, the state of the industry as a whole. We talk movies, fun stuff, you know, and every now and then I go on my little rants about the situation between physical media and streaming and what some, you know, people's opinions of it are, but it's a free country, man. We're all allowed to have different opinions. He, you know, not to single him out, but he uses his platform to spread his opinion on it. I can equally use my platform. So, Sid says YouTube can be just as bad. When I watch Blockbuster box sets, doesn't mean I want to watch it. Yeah, you know, YouTube's just as bad with the algorithm. And I don't know if you guys are aware, I do want to bring this to your attention. So I've seen a lot of YouTube channel videos, and if Chase, you're still in the room, I think I kind of briefly talked to you about this. There's a lot of channels that have noticed a dramatic drop in viewership because of the new algorithm change that really started to happen, I think, as early as like the end of last year. Make sure that YouTube did not put your account on restricted mode. I'm not talking to Chase specifically as the content creator. I'm talking about everybody else. Make sure that your YouTube account is not on restricted mode, which YouTube can turn on automatically. So you can check that by going on YouTube, on your desktop or on your. It's a little bit more complicated on your phone, but if you go on your desktop, PC, or whatever, if you go up to your icon and you click that, there'll be a drop down menu, and you'll see restricted mode, and you'll either see it on or off. If it's on, then you can go in and turn it off. But that is hiding channels that you may watch and be subscribed to from seeing. The other thing is that with the algorithm change, it has been not recommending for whatever they did with these algorithm changes. It is killing some of these channels, and I've seen quite a bit. I know Red Letter Media just did one. They were talking about it. There's this I don't remember the name of the channel, but they do like swords and different various weapons, both from fantasy and reality kind of thing. They're pretty entertaining. They've noticed the Linus guys, their channel, same thing. They've been talking about how like they just like devastating their channel because the algorithm is like hiding or not recommending, so they're getting like a quarter of the videos or the views that they used to. And it may not seem like a big deal for like these bigger channels, but it actually is, like, because a lot of those channels, that is their full-time job now. So imagine like you've been coming to work, you've been doing the same work, you've received a certain amount of pay for your work, and then all of a sudden somebody changed an algorithm and now you only get a quarter of your pay. And that's your livelihood. That's fucked up, man. I know Chase has been personally been battling that up and down. He's put some really good videos out, and they've caught a lot of views, which is fantastic. But just make sure you check your own settings and make sure that you're not on restricted mode, so that you are seeing all these videos that you normally would watch and be interested in watching. Falcon says the quality of the video and audio in streaming is worse than physical, even with their fancy gimmicks like Disney. Yeah, you have to remember, like, think about this, like, compression is compression. I don't care how good they get at it, there's still compression. So, like, when we get a 4K Blu-ray disc, that film's already been compressed a lot. A lot. I know for example, I know that the oh God, what's that service? It's like you can it's for the super rich people, but like you can download it, but you're streaming it, but you download it onto your server. They like their Avengers Endgame file, they compressed that down to like 120 gigs or something like that. We get a 4K disc, it's compressed down to like 66 gigs. And it's actually less than 66 gigs. It's just a 66 gig disc, but they don't fill it all the way up. So it's probably like 55 gigs, right? And then when you go to streaming, and I've downloaded offline some of these files, like I'll use a typical like Blu-ray, 1080p to a Blu-ray, right? A Blu-ray can be a 50 gig disc, so you're probably dealing with a like 40 to 42 gig file. If I downloaded that off of Amazon, that same like file, it's like 5 to 10 gigs. Massive compression going on. Lots of manipulation. It's not ever gonna fucking be anywhere close to a 4K disc ever. And the 4K disc is consistent. Your streaming resolution can bounce all the way up and down depending on how many people are watching something or another. Like I remember, I think it was last year, maybe. Brian from Last Movie Standing he did a video on this, and he was talking about he wanted to watch something, but they maybe it was the Super Bowl. There's something going on with that, but the resolution, because everybody was watching the Super Bowl, it was fucking up the resolution and the service went down. Like, I never have that problem with the disc, you know. It's nuts, man. Streaming is more expensive, more split up, and more irritating version of cable. It is. At least with we used to have DVRs and you could record that shit and fast forward through the commercials. Can't do that no more. Now you got to pay. And even then, you could be in the ad-free tier and they're still going to show you fucking ads, which blows my mind. Amazon currently has a 24 terabyte drive for $280. Done. There you go. People have $200 streaming bill a month and say stuff like, we cut the cord, $100 on Blu-ray would be better option. Yeah. So how exactly do you copy your collection on a hard drive? So I have a Blu-ray burner, or or Blu-ray drive. It's a Blu-ray drive. And you can make okay. So not every Blu-ray drive is what they call 4K friendly. But what you have to get yourself is what they call a BDXL drive. And I bought, and it's actually an internal drive, but I bought this casing that you put it in, and it basically transforms it into an external. So I didn't actually have to install it into my tower PC. But you need to get yourself at least what they call a BDXL Blu-ray drive, or you can get if you want to pay more, there's really no benefit to it. For the next step I'm going to tell you, which is a free download. You could get a 4K Blu-ray drive, computer drive. But if you get the BDXL drive, I think I have an Asus one. If you go to dvdfab.com, they have a free download, or what they call a flash, where it flashes the software that's on the any current Blu-ray drive that you buy, which would normally inhibit the software that's on it, inhibits you from putting a 4K Blu-ray in and ripping it or even playing it. Because 4K Blu-ray discs are Blu-ray discs. They just have a third layer. That's the only fucking difference, is like size and layers. So if you go to get yourself, like I said, if you go to dvdfab.com, they'll even fucking tell you what models are compatible and easy to use for this. So get yourself a Blu-ray drive off of that list, that they update that list all the time. And then they have a free download on there that flashes the software and sets it back to like pre-2000, whatever year that they installed this software to prevent you from doing it. So it will now allow you to play and rip a 4K Blu-ray. Then there's all kinds of options. I use DVD Fab software for my ripping service, but there are plenty of other free software downloads out there that you can use that'll do the exact same job for you. So all you need is that drive, which some of them are really fucking cheap. Like I think mine was like $80. And then get yourself an external hard drive. If you have like any PC or laptop that has a USB drive on it, like it can be for like fucking like 20, 10 computer, whatever. Get yourself one of those. Like I said, once you have the drive and once you have the ripping software, you can rip it and then you save it to the external hard drive. Okay. Then you go to plex.com and you just open an account, which is, I believe it's free. If you want all of the features, you do have to pay, but it's a one-time lifetime thing and you're done. And then that you basically the Plex build is it's a Plex server, but all it is it's interacting with it's recognizing the files in your external hard drive, and then the user interface looks very much like Netflix, as far as like it's going to show you like the the metadata and all that stuff. It's really great, really great. And from there, you can stream. You just add the app, the Plex app, to your TVs, to your smartphone, to whatever. It's on it's available in any store. It's a free download. Once you have it on there, you put in your email address and your password that's on your account that you made with Plex, and you're off and running. It's really that fucking easy. It's not complex at all. 4K Tent Revival says Christopher Columbus said he hates the down the hall and to the left scene so much he's not going to sign off on a 4K. It's stupid. But we have the Blu-ray, so it's fine. On topic of censorship, because of a single individual, I give the following example. The entire cast was amazing. The show itself had a great message. The Cosby Show. Yep, absolutely. I don't know why anybody would be shocked at like when the stories start coming out of what these people do in Hollywood. Like, I don't know about you, but like I always assumed the casting couch was a real thing, you know? So when they start telling these stories of casting couch shit, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. You have to sell your soul if you want to be famous like that. You know, the thing that like, it's not that it upsets me or anything like that. What I find laughable for some of these people that, and it seems it's always the women, it happened to them. They didn't say shit. They wanted the job. So they dropped to their knees and they did what they needed to do to get that job. They became a megastar. They won their Oscar. They've made their millions of dollars. And then they fucking turn around and try to like, you know, crucify whoever. I'm sorry, man. I can't get behind that. Like, if something fucked up happened to you, you have every power to say no and walk out that door. You chose, in a lot of these cases, not all of them. I'm not talking about people that got, you know, the R word. But for a lot of these people, these actors and male actors and female actresses, they made that choice. You know, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash. That's the way I feel about it. So when they go through this whole career and they've made their millions and now they're pretty much like played out, like they've hit 40 and that they're not getting roles anymore. That's when they want to turn around and fucking see if they can get something out of that. I don't know. That's my personal opinion on that. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm sure some of you agree with me. My drop in viewership has definitely been pretty dramatic for the author, actor, director, bad. So ban it has always been terrible. Agreed. That's so messed up. The YouTube does that to you guys. Yeah. For me, my channel's like so rinky dink, and I think I made $100 last month off of YouTube. So like, this is not my day job. This is like really just an outlet for me to be able to talk to you guys and express my creativity, and my passion. But that's what it is. But for a lot of people, it's now their livelihood, or it's a growing, significant part of their livelihood. So maybe they haven't quit their day job, but they are dependent on the income revenue that they consistently get. Like I was talking to Chase the one day and he was talking about like subscribers, your subscriber count is important because it raises what he calls the floor of how many views on average you're going to get. It raises, you know what I mean? So that you're like, that's what you're going to consistently get from a revenue standpoint from the ads and the viewership, right? Obviously some videos like far exceed what your subscriber count is. Like one of his videos hit like 80,000 the last time I checked. He doesn't have 80,000 subs, right? So those videos are great. And typically you will get way more views than your subscriber base. So I shouldn't, that's not true. That's not true. That's a partially inaccurate statement. Kaleidoscape. Thank you. I just saw that. It's important for the subscriber count because it raises it. And like I said, for some of these people, it's either their livelihood, like they feed their families on this shit, and now all of a sudden, like it's just dropped off a cliff. I'm sure they got to be in panic mode. And some of these bigger channels, they have a team of people It's not just like me. It would be me and like 4 other guys, and we're all feeding our families off of the YouTube channel. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, sorry, we usually get, let's say, like $10,000. We're only getting $2,000 this month. I know I'd be like, fuck. So, I do want to give away a code. If you have not seen from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, here is your chance. Good luck. There you go. It's my last gift to you. All right. Worth it if you care about the quality and have different models, which has dropped the price significantly. Yep. All a server is a computer that hosts and serves up data. That's exactly it. That's it. I was trying to like break it down into like you're trying to explain it to your mom terms, because not everybody. I could go way more technical, and it's going to be like it's going to fly over their heads. I believe you can plug a HD directly into the router and just serve that way. New to the show, so is ripping them better quality? It's not better. It's not better. It's like for me, everything that I buy, like when I bought this, whatever's on this disc is now on my external hard drive. Because I do 1-to-1. But you can compress it if you want, where it reduces file size, so you can get more titles on your external drive, or on your drive. It doesn't have to be external, but that's the easiest way to do it. So it doesn't make it better. The only way it can make it better is like I will use this for example. So DVD Fab has software where now this you do have to have a powerful computer for. But they do have software where you can upscale your stuff to 4K. So for me, Johnny Dangerously is stuck on DVD. However, Amazon you can stream it, and it's a 1080p scan. So I paid for the rental, downloaded it, and then I upscaled it to 4K. Looks fantastic. It doesn't have HDR, but the DVD Fab does have that software that you can add HDR if you want. I wasn't going to go through that. It takes forever. So that's a perfect example of that. There's a couple titles I did that with. I think I have it in my box, but I also did that with Terminator 2. I think this is, so if you have this version of Terminator 2, which is the like Studio Canal release, to me, this is the best transfer of Terminator 2 video wise. I'm not going to get into like what, there's some people who are like, it doesn't have the original GTS audio, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah. I'm just talking about like, if you're talking about the video, because the audio is just fine. It's like a 5.1 mix, right? But if you have this version, this is the best version to watch T2 for transfer. It's the color grading is the most accurate to the original that we've seen in a high resolution format. Than the 4K. The 4K, such a bad transfer. We won't go into that. We all know why. So that Studio Canal version Blu-ray, that's the best way. What I did was I took that and then I upscaled it to 4K. Looks fantastic. Come on, folks, smash all the buttons. 40 views and 32 likes. You know what? I'm not worried about it, Sith, unless we had like over 100 people in the room. That's the only way it makes a difference, is if you can get over 100 likes, then YouTube will, the fucking algorithm will start pushing out. I'm not surprised that we have so little in here today because of what has happened today, which is just horrible and horrific. And anybody that's like glad that that happened, you're fucked up. So, so I'm not surprised we only have 40 today. But like, don't worry about the like button shit. Like, unless the only time I would ever press you for hitting the like button is if we get north of fucking 100 people in this room, where it would actually make a difference. So, um, let's see here. I have a couple of them. I'm gonna purchase a movie a month ahead, and if I like it, I pick it up on physical. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shade Diversity, that sword YouTuber. It's two guys. I don't remember the name of the channel. It's two guys, and they do stuff with weapons. It's not just swords. It's like very like the one day they were doing a video of like what's better, a batleth or like a long sword or some shit like that, you know. Um, see your to each their own with Kaleidoscape. I just prefer holding the movies in my hand. The quality I get from most 4Ks coupled with my OLED is good enough for me. Thing is, Kaleidoscape, that is never going to become mainstream because unless there is a massive revolution that drastically increases while also increases storage space while also decreasing the price by a lot. Because with the Kaleidoscape, you have to buy a certain unit, and I think they have very limited expandability, if any, on them. So once that's filled up, you have to, if you want something else, you've then got to delete. You may own it and you can go re-download it again, but now you're playing that game of like, how long does it fucking take you to download something? And versus like our discs, we don't have to do that. We don't have to sacrifice any of them for that. I digitized my library previously. That was on the road a lot, so I wanted to be able to watch my shit wherever the fuck I was. The other part of it I like is my wife and I, when we go to bed, we have the TV going on and we're watching, like, it's typically something that like we've seen like a million times, like Star Trek The Next Generation or Deep Space Nine or you know, anything, right, that we've seen a million times. So it's interesting, but it's not too interesting that it would keep us up. But it's nice, like comfort. I call it comfort food, you know. So you can fall asleep to it. Obviously, like when it comes to TV shows, um, it'll just the Plex server will just play the next episode. So I don't like we don't have to like press play or you know whatever. So and it's in our bedroom, so we don't have the only place um I have 4K. I have a 4K player upstairs in the living room, and I have a 4K player down here in the basement in like the gaming section. Those are the only 4K players I have, or you know 4K slash Blu-ray. I mean, I have my PS3, PS4, but that's all in the same area. So like, I'm like, why wouldn't I just put in my 4K player? But in the bedroom, I don't have a player, so it's easy to just get on the Plex, stream it. You know, it's that convenience in the house part of it is really what helps. And then obviously, like if you are going on a trip, you can download anything off of your Plex server and onto your mobile device or tablet or whatever, and then you can watch that shit on the plane. You know. Red Meters 12 guys split that ad revenue up and it being down to 20%. It's huge. Yes, 100%. You're absolutely right. John Wick 5 confirmed. Oh boy. Mike, do you download and print your inserts out from Cover City? Some. I kind of bounce between Cover City, high res covers, and Custom Maniacs. Those are like the three main ones that I use. And then for some of the stuff that I've made in the past, I've actually hired, I'll make the fronts and the spines, but then I've hired a guy to do the backs. You know, so like I'll use like my Star Wars one. So like I got the front from somewhere, I did the spine, and then I hired the guy to do the backs. So they would all be uniform. So they're all like that. So it just gives you a synopsis, what's going on, photo, and then the general gist. Because with my collection for my clear cases, I didn't want it to be defined on what it is. I know what the fuck I have. So like when you open it up, I have the 4K disc, I have the Blu-ray. And then what's great with mine is I was able to put my 4K 77 in with it, so it's a whole complete set. So I have the official 4K, and then the Blu-ray discs that come with it, and then I also have my 4K 77 version of that. And then I also get I have all my discs in there, but it's two-sided artwork too, so with the clear cases. So that's what's great about that. And then looks really good. Currently 36-42 likes. Hell of a ratio. Planet Siege Christian is in the house. What is up, my brother from another mother? Big Money Mike, what's welcome. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it. We're just talking movies and the battle of physical versus streaming, and because there was like a video John Campea did and just set me off the rails. And so if you want to enjoy me watching me like lose my shit for like 5 minutes, just rewind the tape. Daniel says, I agree with the arguments about Kaleidoscape being in IT. I have the choices, which is always best for me. Exactly. How many movies? Horror Fantastic Lance, welcome. How many movies would you guess you converted? Ooh. Actually, hold on. I'll tell you right now. I got my Plex server up right now. So in just movies, not TV shows. Movies, I have 1,128 films that are either on 4K or Blu-ray quality. TV shows, I have currently 97 separate television shows, and I mean that's from like let's see here. I have everything from like all of Andy Griffith to 7 seasons of Burn Notice, all 11 seasons of Cheers, like Supernatural, Fire, well, that's Firefly's just 1 season, but all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones in 4K. All the I mean, I've got it all, man. So that's just movies and TV shows. And then I have in holiday films, which I separate them out. I've got like 44. So, thousands of stuff on there. What I currently have is like, it's a 5-bay, 20 terabyte each, external drive. And that's not anywhere near filled up, by the way. So it'll take you long, and that's with me doing 1-to-1 string, rips. So Steven says, how long does a 1-to-1 rip usually take? Do you have to play the disc at normal speed to record? No. So when I'm ripping a Blu-ray, I can rip a Blu-ray in like 5 minutes. So sometimes less, depending on if it's a 25 gig or a 50 gig. And then a 4K will take longer. I would say a 4K will take you 30 minutes to an hour, depending on like if it's a 66 gig or a 100 gig disc. It just depends on how much information's on the file. So it does not take me long at all. Let's see here. Daniel, 4K movies about 45 minutes. There you go. To an hour. Blu-ray is 15, 30 minutes. Yep. Chase says Tubi is the one I support the most. They are old school. It's free. Just watched a couple commercials like the old days. There you go. CHH is in the house. Yeah, man. Hey, man, I got friends. I'm allowed to have friends. They check in on me. It's a wellness check. Cumdre says, here's a downside. When you put a brand new 4K disc in your player and the scene skips or freezes at some point, it's usually these new 4Ks that give. Okay. I don't really have that problem too much. I just, wipe it down with a nice cloth. And that seems to do the trick. This is a more general problem with cheaper 4K players. Yes, I would agree. It's more with the 4K players. The disc transport matters when it comes to players. Yeah, and this is something else to be mindful of when it comes to 4K players. I will tell you this. Each company's 4K players have different things that they support or don't support. My biggest complaint with the Panasonic UBP, whatever version that everybody loses their virginity to, that does not support MP4 or MKV. It's one of the two. I think it's MP4. I don't think it supports MP4. So any ripped disc that you make that is under that format won't fucking play it, or it'll play it like halfway through, and then when it goes to try to jump to the next layer, it like totally freezes up, pixelates out, and it's like, no, I can't do it. Sony 4K players seem to support like almost everything. I've never had a problem with the Sony like 800, 700 and 800 model that they have. Both are great. Let's see here. Yeah, so you see, I had that player and it gave it to my brother, and then I picked it up. The Magnetar UDP 800. The Magnetar one, I don't know what that's is that the metal one? I don't remember which one that is, but just be mindful, like if you're out there shopping for a 4K player, you really need to look at what these things support. Like a good example, the PlayStation 5 was another one. Even though it's a Sony, that drive does not like the ripped discs at all. So if you have any, depending on where you got your bootleg from, or your homebrew, even if it's for yourself, like for me, like I don't fucking sell movies. So like the shit that I have, that's my homebrew that I have for myself. They would not play on that player. So I sent that fucker back, and I have the Sony one. But even though the PlayStation 5 drive does not have all of does not support all of the same things that their regular Sony 4K players do. So make sure, like, if you're in the market for a 4K player, that you look at what formats it is compatible with. What kind of support do they offer for, like, are they doing software updates for that, or is it like a dead, like they haven't done an update since like 2019 kind of thing? PS5 doesn't support Dolby Vision. There you go. But the Sony 4K player, regular one, does. Exactly. Good example. Thank you, fantastic Lance. Or I'm sorry, that was not you. I gave you the wrong credit. I take that credit back. It was the other guy. Kibbe Gamey. There we go. Horror says, I'm sure it would be a long time from now, but do you think they will ever get to 8K movies? Okay, so I will tell you why you're not going to see 8K movies. All right. I'm not going to say never, but given the way physical media is going, I don't see them in anytime soon. And I'm talking, like, when I say anytime soon, I mean like 10 to 15 years. I don't see this happening, of them bringing 8K discs. They're already dying. And like, look at how few manufacturers are making 4K players. Okay. Now you're going to have to make an 8K player. All right. That part alone is difficult, right? Then you have the problem of what we were talking about earlier about data storage. How fucking thick, how many layers is that disc going to have to be 8K? I mean, for us, like, we get some right now on a 4K Blu-ray on like a really nice one. It's 100 gig disc. Now, remember, it may be 100 gig disc, but you can't actually fill it all the way up. So you're really staring at, on a 100 gig disc, you're realistically looking anywhere from 80 to 90 ish gigs of available usable data on that disc. right? So if it's 8K, they're either going to compress the fucking shit out of it, making it worthless to be on 8K, or that disc is going to have massive expansion of data on it. Then on top of that, you've got to bring the cost down. They don't even film the Super Bowl in 8K. What they and the thing is, like, even for what they shoot in 4K and what you watch in 4K, I'm gonna break this one into you if you don't know. This is how fucked up it is. So the amount of data and cables and all the fiber optic cables and everything like that, they only have like 2, maybe 3 actual 4K cameras at the Super Bowl. The rest are like 1080p-ish. I'm dumbing this down. They're like 1080p-ish type cameras, okay, that they're filming. What they do in the broadcast trailer is they take that 4K footage and they take that 1080p footage, right? They scale down the 4K footage to the 1080p. Like I said, I'm really dumbing this down. Okay. So for those of you that know the technical aspects of this, I know you're cringing right now, but just bear in mind, I'm trying to, like, bring it down to the masses. All right. So they have to downscale that 4K to match it with the 1080p, right? They send out that 1080p broadcast to the regular people, but they also then upscale everything back up to 4K and send that out as a 4K stream. It's insanely expensive. It's so expensive. Even for like films, like Chase can tell you, Brian can tell you from Last Movie Standing, they've shot their own films. The data storage required for their films that they have on their own hard drives, this is massive. So the cost is insanely too high, and the technology to be able to have that much data on a disk, and get enough manufacturers on board with producing players to support that disk, I don't fucking see it happening. I don't see it happening. What I do see happening, like down the road, long term, is eventually at some point, physical media is going to be like even a fraction of what it is currently. Like I was telling in my videos previously, that back in 2006, that was like the peak of DVD, as a whole sales. That was like $16.6 billion of revenue of like all DVD sales, DVD Blu-ray sales. The last year, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K sales combined were less than 1 billion, right? So like it's only going to get smaller when we get further down the road as they get better at compression for streaming, where they can start matching that, where they could technically bring you 8K content. It's still gonna be compressed like a motherfucker, but they could technically stream it to you, and that would be a much more viable platform for them to bring it to you. That being said, like 8K content is still, like, the cameras are insanely expensive. The data storage on that is insanely expensive for them to have that on their servers. I don't see it happening realistically. 4K, I see 4K really being it, for the way we think physical media, the way we look at physical media right now. The only way I see like 8K content or anything beyond 4K content, it could be 6K or 5K, whatever the fuck, whatever K they want to, I see it going more to like flash drive style, maybe like cartridge flash drive type devices for physical media. I don't see it expanding into optical, just from them not wanting to make the players standpoint. That's to me, that's honest to God what I think is going to happen with that. You think it's possible to do a flash or update to 4K players to get them to handle? I don't think so, because here's the thing, like, the laser can only get so fucking small, right? That, so like as you're adding these more and more layers and you're compressing or tightening up the where the ones and zeros would be, like there's only so tight you can get that shit. I don't see them having built them in a way that it would be compatible for any new optical disc that they make. I would have thought, I mean, I get like the whole, like when they made 4K, that they wanted to keep doing what they'd always done of like, well, we had VCRs, then we went to DVD, now we got a DVD player. We went to Blu-ray, now we got to buy a Blu-ray player. I don't see that they would have future proof that hardware where it could do it. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not the one building this shit. But honestly, think about this: of most of the software on these 4K players that we have is like anywhere from 5 to 7-year-old software that they're not updating. That's the other thing, is they're not really doing updates for that. When was the last time you saw an update for your 4K player? Other than like a PlayStation something or another, the disk transport and consoles are not good. Yeah. Killer Alien says, hey man, I started to watch your video. If you guys don't know Killer Alien's guy's channel, please like, subscribe, watch his videos. His content's really good. I was watching his recent video. I didn't get to finish it because of the whole like printer stand thing but he was doing a video where he's talking about why he collects the one-click boxes. But I don't know how to end, so I can't even spoil it for you, but definitely check that out. But he's saying, hey, also speaking of tech gear, what do you recommend as to projectors? Maybe keep price under 2K, has to be true 4K laser. Also, Mike, what audio setup do you have thinking about Polk? Well, so I'm a former home theater specialist with Sears and with Best Buy. I can tell you right now, I have not been actively following the various projector models. There is I would, like I can tell you right now, like if you're trying to stay under 2K for 4K, that just wiped out, not that I would recommend it to you, but that wiped out Sony, like a Sony 4K projector. That's gonna, like a good one is at least $5,000. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna try to recommend anything to you because I've not been actively following the latest and greatest models and tech that's out there. I would say that you're probably most likely going to steer away from like the main like television. Like it's not going to be a Samsung, it's not going to be a Sony kind of thing. It's going to be like something else under that title. And one of the reasons I've kind of walked away from the projector side of it is I don't like the short throw lasers. I think they are the Wild West right now, and they're not like uniform regulated as far as like tech specs and what they can and can't do. So it's really just like you're out there on your own. And I don't see them. I see that as a dying niche tech anyway. I don't see that catching on. What I do see is micro LED paneling. I think that's your future. I think that's going to fucking decimate OLEDs when you want to go big, because OLEDs are limited on their screen size, much like the old LCDs and plasmas were back in the day. I mean, I remember I was selling at Sears, and the largest LCD TV that they made was like 32 inches. It's like we've come a long way in that tech. But if you go to AWOL, and I'm just reading that, telling you that one because I know it off the top of my head. But that's micro LED paneling, and it's just like little tiles. And what's great about those is it's completely expandable, so you can make whatever screen size, any aspect ratio that you want. And if you have a pixel die, you just pull that panel off. That little, It's literally like this big of a panel. You just pull that panel off and put a new one on. Boom, TV's fixed. And it's the micro LED is so small that is you're no longer doing a back panel lit, because all of your LED TVs are LCD televisions. They just have a LED back panel lighting, and you can get into like how many zones if you have the full array kind of shit to like control like blooming and leaking through and stuff like that. But with micro LED, there is none of that. The light is either on or off. So that's going to give you pure blacks, just like your OLEDs. It's not going to have the limitations of the OLEDs with screen size. The only drawback that I see with that projectors have over micro LED paneling is speakers. So like if you go projector, you could have an acoustically transparent screen, and you could put your speakers, your center, particularly your center speaker. You can put behind, and maybe a sub or your two fronts, whatever with it. You can put it behind the screen. Just the way it is like in the theater, so you hear the words that's coming out of them, literally out of the screen. With micro LED paneling, it's not acoustically transparent. So you're going to run into where are you going to put your center channel, depending on how big your fucking TV is. It's either going to have to be below the screen or above the screen. That's really the only limitation I see. And the prices of the micro LED television paneling is dropping drastically every year. So it is definitely, like, I would say in the next 5 years, you're going to see that price drop into the realm that is going to be competitive with your higher end televisions. But that's my personal thing on it. So I can't recommend a projector. Audio wise, I will tell you what I used to tell my customers. Go listen. Don't just fucking buy because you heard from some YouTuber telling you that this brand is good or they did a product review. Man, it is all in what your ears hear. It is just as much of like with televisions, as far as like I could list to you like the televisions that have like the best fucking picture and the best tech specs in the world. You may look at it and think it's dog shit compared to what you have, right? Same thing with audio. Go somewhere like a Magnolia Center, or go to an audio store, depending on where you live. I think if you live in North Carolina, there is oh god, what's the name of that store? But they, like, you can go in and they have rooms and rooms and rooms of stuff. Go listen and buy what you like hearing. That's the best recommendation I can give for you. Forkyton says, you think it's possible? Yeah, I'm sorry, I answered that. For myself, like I used to have like a 7.1, and I actually at the time really liked the Sony speakers that I had for the space that it was. So like keep that in mind. Like it was for the room, it was a great setup, but it wasn't like the setup that I really wanted to have. But it was a really good setup that I had. But I had a 7.1 system set up with Sony speakers. I know it doesn't get talked a lot about. I know like some of the higher brands get a lot of hype for it, but like honestly, Sony receivers, like the higher end ones, those are very competitively good and very, very, very fairly priced. But nobody ever seems to like, I never see a movie tuber talking about them, but I've never, as far as like durability, never had a problem with a Sony receiver ever. The sound and the video, inputs and outputs, and I've always been great. Sometimes they've led the way. Like I know Sony at the time was one of the first ones that put multiple HDMI inputs on the back of the receivers at the back in the day. So keep that in mind. Of like, don't get what I'm getting at is don't get locked down in a name brand. Go listen, see what sounds good to you. That's the one you want, is really the honest truth of that. because there's a billion different speaker companies out there. And at some point, you're just not going to be able to tell the difference in the sound, you know? Some things, like there are some movies I know every sound out of that soundtrack, the sound part of it. Um, and it's amazing how some, even like when it comes to sound bars, some sound bars will pick stuff up, and then others won't. Like I had this one sound bar a couple years ago. So in Superman the movie, on the Blu-ray at 4K, when the helicopter's there and he like rips his shirt open, you can hear the fucking button pop and hit the street. The one sound bar, I plugged it in, I was listening to it, couldn't hear it. I was like, nah, this is going back. I mean, it was like that level of like anal. I was like, man, no, there's a button pop right there. I'm supposed to hear that. That's not there. This means this is not bringing it to me. I got to go get something better. And so I did. So in my living room, I have like the vaulted ceilings, and there's really, really tall. Like, so I don't, the acoustics in there it would be a waste for me to put like really nice tower speakers, and the room doesn't really lend itself for me to put like rears and stuff. So all I have is I have like an Atmos, I think it's the Sony HT700 soundbar, and then the sub that goes with it. The sub is a fucking beast. That's great for that room. Keep that in mind too, of you want to make sure that you're putting the appropriate size speaker for the room that you're trying to put it in, because you can run into a problem where your speaker is so powerful, it's overpowering for the size of the room, that you can't get the volume up to where it needs to be for you to hear all of the smaller, lower key, lower frequency stuff. You can't get it loud enough because it just overpowers the room. And so you end up paying for something that you can't actually get the maximum benefit out of. So keep that in mind too, of know the size of your room, and keep that in mind when you go and you listen to these, and tell the person there of like what your room dimensions are, and they can help you out with that as well. Because there's no sense in you overpaying for this like top of the line, really badass fucking speaker that you can't actually get up to optimum audio levels to maximize its capability. So like, I'm not a big fan of micro speakers, but sometimes they are the best choice for the space that you're in. I hope that helps. Never been a fan of SVS. Moving into small apartments that's over 50 just to see them. Okay. Yeah, sometimes, like, obviously depending on your size of your room, you may need 2 subs just for balance, depending on where you're sitting in the room. For most people, like, you can get away with 1 sub just fine. I wonder if there will ever be a 4K TV large enough to use as an outdoor theater setting. I'm sure it would have to be protected from elements and plexiglass or something. I think your micro LED paneling is going to take care of that. With that, so keep that in mind. Polk is man. Audio advice, yes. Thank you, Sako. Go listen. Best advice yet. You're welcome, man. Your room really matters. Also acoustics. Yeah, exactly. And it also depends on, realistically ask yourself, because you can go down a rabbit hole. Realistically ask yourself, what kind of experience am I trying to have in that room? Like, are you predominantly watching film? Are you listening to a lot of music? Are you watching sports? Is it a multi-use room where you're maybe doing all of those things? That's going to greatly change what direction you go in for audio, big time. Not just the speakers, but also your receiver capability. Keep that in mind. You know, do you want an amp? Do you want a preamp? You know, like there's so many choices. Like it really, but that's the first thing you have to ask yourself is what is it that what kind of experience am I primarily trying to have in this room? Start with that. Okay. That'll get you your like direction that you need to start heading in. And then from there, look at like, okay, do I have a lot of windows? How are the ceilings in this? Is it an open space? Is it like a room, an enclosed room? Kind of thing. Where is it in the house where maybe it's right under, maybe that room is right under the dining room table or the living room or the bedroom, and you want to watch a movie and crank that some bitch up in the house rumbling kind of thing, you know, so like that's gonna determine like are you gonna do any kind of sound proofing in a way. Like there's a lot you have to take into account, but start by asking yourself, what primarily am I trying, what kind of experience am I trying to have in this room? And that will send you in the right direction. Sid says, my current issue being in a smaller space, it's hard to find a higher quality OLED in smaller sizes. I understand. I understand. I looked into those micro LED panels. That will definitely be the next big thing. Of course, I would find this out right after I buy a 100-inch television. You know, I was all like interested in like those. Is it Hisense? I think it's Hisense or TCL. They have like that big 100 and 115-inch. I was interested in like going to see one of those until I watched the. I think it's called Linus YouTube channel, and he like imported one from China and got it out of the box, put it on the wall, and like a day or two later, one of the pixels died. So his whole fucking TV is just like fucked. And because he imported it, there was no service. He couldn't get anybody to come out there and like service it. Um, so like he's like, well, you can watch his video. He's like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna enjoy it the way it is. Um, I love the micro LED paneling because if you get pixel damage, aka like, you know, one of the micro LEDs goes out, you literally just, they have like a little suction cup thing. You just pull it off because it's magnetic. Put the new one in, it instantly, like there's no other wire hookups that you have to do. It's literally you just pull the panel off and put the new one on, and it's fixed. That easy, that fucking easy. So, and it has expandability. So, you know, if you can go with a certain size, and then later on, if you move, or if you move it to a different room, or you know, now you have more money that you can expand it up to the next size, then you could just fucking buy more panels and expand it up to whatever you want. It's fantastic. Ooh, I'm thirsty. 48-inch. Okay. I just got them paired with 4 subs. Movie times, definitely quite the experience now. Damn. I wonder if there will ever be a 4K TV large enough to use. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. What do you think of Jensen Ackles actually taking on Bruce Wayne, Batman in live action? You know, here's the thing. Like, it doesn't take much to play Batman. Let's be honest. The suit does most of it, the work for you. The biggest thing is, and it's not even so much the actor. It's more of what is the script and the director's vision of tone and the world that he wants to project. That's the version of Bruce Wayne Batman that you would end up playing. Like, if you watch the perfect example of this, if you watch Michael Keaton, Batman 89, you've got that, right? Then you scooch over and you see Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins, totally different. Totally different. Batman 89 did what I typically love is they romanticize the fantasy. Okay. the Dark Knight trilogy, they went and took it of realism. You know, like, this is real tech. This is what he would use in the real world. These are for the most part, the real world physics of if he was using blah, 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 you know, like, I want to be able to turn my head kind of shit, you know, it's Kevlar, blah, blah, blah. They never fucking said what Batman, I mean, we all know what it was made out of, but they never said in the movie what Michael Keaton's Batman suit was made out of. It was like, what is this? Some kind of body armor. That's all. That's all we ever fucking heard from it, right? You know, so to me, as long as you look the part, I think I don't want to say anybody can play Bruce Wayne Batman, but like, it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. But that's, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that's a hot take. Daniel says he had these monitors for LCR, their 1961 series for sides, surrounds, and rears. Then I moved to JTR, definitely end game for me in a 400 square foot room. Well, there you go. I was looking at an LED wall for 100 inch is like 17K. That's what I'm saying. Like, wait, if you give it like 5 years, I guarantee you that shit's going to be like under 10. And like I said, it has the expandability and the replacement paneling capability versus like your other TV. You're stuck with whatever you have, and then if something is broken with it, most likely you don't even have a service plan, so you're really fucked. But let's play pretend and you got that service plan. A lot of these you know, talking about like, you know, with streaming, with censorship and stuff like this, everybody's going with this proprietary crap. So like, if you have a Samsung television, then you can only get that shit serviced by an official Samsung technician kind of thing. So that ends up costing you or limits your ability of who you can have it get fixed. Unless you're playing Batman in tights like the original. Hey man, don't be knocking Adam West. That he was a good Batman. That was the Batman I grew up on. But yeah, you gotta be, you know, the tights, they don't hide anything. So, you know, don't forget the shark repellent. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. So, all right, folks, got 39 in the room. Been talking for almost 2.5 hours. I think I'm going to call it a day. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And for my Clubhouse peeps, I'll be reaching out to you guys about when I'm going to do my next live stream for you guys. But other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.